You'll be able to have all the notes. You don't have to worry about taking notes unless you want to. You'll have all of Barney's thoughts in a pretty little package. So welcome. For those of you who haven't met us yet, I am Dara.
And I'm Donna.
We always feel like we should have a tap dance.
I'm Dara. I'm Donna.
So we, if you could see, I don't know if you see our shirts, we are wearing our in the Zoom where it happened shirts. We thought we were very clever with that. So we are two friends that play Mahjong in South Florida, and we are the founders of both Modern Mahjong and Mahjong Community, the Facebook group.
So yeah, we just want to thank everybody for your support over the years. It was actually our birthday yesterday, 6 years in business together, which is crazy. We went through COVID and we're still here. We invite you to just go to our website and see the kinds of things we do. We sell lots of Mahjong Canasta and accessories. As Dara said, we're also on Facebook. We have a very large and active group on Facebook called Mahjong Community, and we also have our YouTube channel, which should answer a lot of your questions. And we're also on Instagram, so find us.
So this is an example, and Barney goes through a lot of this. Every year that we get the new card, we right away look and see what is going to not clog our feed, but what is going to fill our feed on Facebook. What questions are going to come up a lot. So this is downloadable after the Zoom on our modernmahjong.com, and it's also always shared on our Facebook page. So many of you have already heard, it was even on the news today on Kelly and Mark, that the cards have a color on the standard and the large. If you, the color issue, if you already purchased and received them, the league will automatically be sending you new ones at the end of May or beginning of June. Additionally, if you go and purchase a card now, they're not going to wait till then to send them to you. So it's amazing that they're sending them now. They're not delaying it. They're going to be taking care of everybody getting their cards now. You'll get a replacement card. This is if you ordered from the league. These are the color misprints. So if you have the large card, and we're going to do this now, and Barney's going to go over this again, but we're just giving people some more time to join us. If you have the large card, that 2468 line is all in one color on the standard. On the large, it's correct. On the standard card, the consecutive run on the bottom, that one that's always in some form or another every year, that flower 1, 2, 3 hand on the standard card is in the correct 3 colors. On the large, it's only in 1 color. Both of them have the correct parentheses, so you could play. And then in Facebook Mahjong Community, people posted files. Donna was cutting some out for people today at an event we had. You could just cut out the file and stick it onto your card.
So yeah, we are going to record this, as Dara said, and we're going to upload it to YouTube probably in the next day or so. It takes us a little time. But if you subscribe to our channel, which is youtube.com/modernmahjong, it'll notify you when we upload the replay of this video and all other videos. We have a bunch of videos on there, so take a look, and a lot of your questions can be answered right there. So
for everybody who is not going to want to play with their current card once the new ones come in, we had an idea of turning lemons into lemonade. If you have a high school group, if you have a middle school Mahjong group, if you teach at a nonprofit, a library, any type of club or organization like this, we are compiling a list of places like this that would like to receive donated cards. And this would be a great way that you could just mail off your cards to people on the list. You could choose who you want to send it to. So if you are part of any organization like that, send us an email and we will add you to the list.
someone was saying about the mistake on the card. We're going to go over it again, and Barney's going to go over it again. Yeah. So if you didn't get that, we're
giving a little filler now before we get to Barney's talk, and then it's going to be the Barney show.
So just so you know, there's one mistake on the large size card, and there's a different mistake on the standard size card, but we'll get into that.
And if you happen to be a teacher and bought the jumbo card is the same mistake as the large. So if you happen to see, and you weren't here for the very beginning, if you see certain names that are in the screen along with us, those are several of the sponsors. Some of the sponsors couldn't be here tonight, but Donna and I do all these Zooms on our time and expense. And we thank Barney for sharing his knowledge with us. We have several sponsors that made it possible to increase the capacity of this Zoom. So we are going to mention them. I think somebody just unmuted.
I mean, remember, I mean,
Yeah, hold on one second.
we're like
Shonda, if you could mute your
20
screen.
bucks, maybe. I mean,
I am muting her, but it won't let me.
Okay, hold on.
Can you
I
do
mean,
it?
you told us that you're there like $400 tickets to have it done.
Yeah, it
Hold
won't
on
let
one
me,
s-
Shanda. I thought you got out of it.
Teresa, have you seen that?
Okay,
Okay,
I did it.
yep, no, okay, good. So did I skip any
Yeah,
participants
you
while I was
skipped the
doing that?
first one.
Okay, go ahead.
So Janelle Schatz is on the call. We really want to thank her for being one of our top sponsors. She's wearing one of our shirts that we made. Barney's wearing it, Dara's wearing it, I'm wearing it. If you're a Hamilton fan, I was in the Zoom where it happens. Janelle really started everything with the longest day, Mahjong for Memories. She raises a lot of money for the Alzheimer's Association, and we really want to thank her for everything.
Okay, let me move on. And we have Monique, who is a retired speech language pathologist from Delray that's sponsoring it.
And Francis is here on the call from New Jersey. Thank you, Francis.
And Molly, I don't know, I think I saw Molly's name in the list. Molly is, there are a lot of teachers all over the US and beyond. Molly is, I don't know, do you pronounce it Moko Mahjong?
Yep.
So she's in these areas teaching.
We want to thank Alyssa Gross, the Mahjong Society, Chicago, and the Midwest for being a Flower Garden sponsor.
And we have Lacey Price. She is in Houston, and she is actually next door neighbors with my college roommate. So kind of fun. Mahjaholic. Thank you.
And Barbara Woods, thank you, Barbara. She also helps us with our Facebook community. Monitoring a page of over 60,000 members is quite a lot of work for Dara and I. So Barbara, thank you very much.
Thank you. And we have Jamie, and I don't want to mispronounce this, Killerin of Hazel Maj. Thank you.
And Shonda, who everybody just heard from Ozark Mahjong, she is in Northwest Arkansas, and we want to thank you, Shonda, for everything.
And thank you to Sydney Rainey, who let us know she is on vacation, but will be watching later. So hello in the future, Sydney. Thank you so much for sponsoring.
And Pam McGregor is a big supporter of ours and also for the Zoom. So thank you, Pam.
And we have Karen on the call and Terry. So Karen Duvel and Terry Schramm, thank you for being Dragon Den sponsors. We had fun with the names.
And One Bam sponsors are Stephanie Gallagher, Jillian Larimore, Sharon Scott, Amy Salerno, Anna Thomason, and Anonymous.
So just in case you haven't heard us before, this is our Facebook group, Mahjong Community. If you open your phone and look at that little QR code, that handy code, that'll open it right there. So you could scan that and join and stay connected. And we're on Instagram too. So now Donna is going to introduce Barney.
So thank you, Barney. This is our 5th year, which is unbelievable to us, for doing the annual Modern Mahjong card review. So someone had said, who is Barney? So this is Barney. He really is, well, Barney's from New Jersey. So we have a lot of our New Jersey girls in the house, and Barney's in New Jersey. So let's see. What is Barney? Barney is a Mahjong enthusiast. He is a self-proclaimed math nerd, as you call yourself, right, Barney?
Yes.
He loves to play Mahjong. He has hosted several tournaments. He loves to play in tournaments. He's got a regular Sunday night game. He loves to collect all Mahjong set, vintage and new, I think. He loves the color orange. So really love Barney's explanations of the card and the hands on the card, and people really gravitate towards him and enjoy this every year. So thank you, Barney, for your generous. Barney does no cost at all. So we really want to thank you, Barney.
It's my pleasure. I love doing it.
Oh, and Barney, before you go, I just want to ask whoever is on. Oh, you got him? Okay. Okay, great. Sorry about that.
Not at all. Not at all. This is great. I love doing this. This is one of the highlights for me in my Mahjong calendar every year. So I'm happy to be back. Thank you for inviting me. It's a lot of fun. For those of you who've not seen this before, I hope that everybody understands this is just my opinions of things that I see. The card comes out, I get it just like everybody else gets it. I don't have it weeks in advance. And, so this is my reaction to what I see after playing, maybe about 200 games since I've received the card. And I just like sharing it with you. And I'm glad that, as you've heard, we will share the document that I write every year with all of you. So you'll have an opportunity to, read it even after today. I believe my email address is still on there. So please, if you think of other questions or you want to communicate with me, feel free to use my email address. And hopefully we'll have some fun tonight and see how it goes. I'm very excited about this card, and I can't wait to really talk about it because I see some things about this card that I think are going to make this a very, very fun year. And so I'm looking forward to sharing some of these ideas with you. Obviously, the first thing that we want to, be very mindful of, and we want to thank the National Mahjong League here in New York City. They're an important group of people, and we really respect what they do and create the card for us that brings us so much joy every year. So please, we want to thank them for all of their hard work throughout the year, creating the card, sharing their information with others, donating to important charities. It's an organization that I've known now for the 9 years or almost 10 years that I've been playing, and I'm happy to know them. So let's start taking a look. We'll go on to the next slide and we'll begin. Did you announce to the group, remind me, like they know to ask questions through the chat? They're familiar with what that process is?
They can, so everybody could post a question in the Q&A and we'll scroll
yeah.
through.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Mhm.
For the things that we can talk about tonight, great. And I'm sure, if we come up with other questions, even at the end of tonight's presentation, we'll take them. And I'm sure the ladies will find a very smart way to communicate some responses back to you. So one of the things that we've already spoken about is the small printing errors that did happen on each of the cards. So you've already heard it once, but I'll just go through it one more time. If you're looking at smaller card, which again I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but the smaller card in the 2468 section, those twos or those even numbers at the end should have been printed in 2 different colors from that green. So it should have been, let's say, red and blue. And on the larger card in that consecutive run, also to the right, the 1, 2, 3, which is a hand we see, very frequently. It's printed there in 1 color. It should have been in 3 suits. As you heard the lady say, the notations next to each of these hands are correct and accurate. So you could certainly be using that. I know some people were very creative online and showing you how to use a marker or printing it out and taping it. Obviously, in the next couple of weeks or month or so, we'll get new cards in the mail. So again, thank you to the league for doing that for us. But these are 2 things that I'm sure a lot of people have already heard about. It's been socialized quite extensively, and hopefully it won't create too many problems for you. I know,
Barney, so in the Q&A, there's a bunch of people that said, what if I don't want the new card sent to me? They can't get in touch with the league. They're probably going to send it to you anyway. They've already, going to be sent out the end of May, beginning of June. But Dara and I later on in the webinar are going to tell you, we're going to compile a list of charities, clubs, school clubs, or you can send your card to if you don't want them, and then someone else can use them, which is
great.
all good.
Thank you, Donna.
And then people have said, I don't have my card. So Dara showed, panels of the card. So as we have specific questions, then we can show you the card. But it is copyrighted, so we can share it because it's educational purposes only. And that's what we're going to do.
Great. Okay, thank you. Okay, so here, as I know the card is coming at the end of March, the very beginning of April for me every year, and I always think about, so what was the last year like? So at a very, very high level view, I've always found the like number section of the card to really be a little boring. So I was always thinking one of these days they're going to make it a little bit more challenging, and I think they really accomplished that this year. So check mark right there. I think you're going to find that some of these like number hands are more challenging than what you've seen in the past. So I was very excited about that. I don't know how much time we'll spend with each of them, but as you get familiar with these, especially that second one, I think there'll be a lot of questions. People will be asking a lot of questions about that second hand requiring the Kong of fours. So
I'll go back to that one.
Yep, there you go. So that second one in particular is, I think, particularly challenging for this year. But I'm really happy. So I think while there are still some common hands that we're familiar with, I think this will be a little bit more challenging for us this year. So that's exciting. I was, I don't know about you all, but I felt that there was one that 369 hand in last year's card was so over. The second one down was so overplayed last year. I don't think there was ever a game that someone didn't make that hand. So I was hoping it wasn't coming back. So check, it did not come back. And then I also said I would love to see some patterns. I've been playing for 10 years now, and I always look back even to some of the older cards, and I like some of the more interesting patterns. And we have some very interesting patterns on the card this year. My gut reaction for this overall this year is that the card feels a little bit more difficult right now. I think I say that for a couple of reasons. The two most important of which is there are a lot of different patterns on the card this year. We know that there are going to be some patterns that repeat in the odd years. We have the 3-4, 3-4, or the pung kong. Those pattern hands are back again, as they always are with the odd years. But I also see a number of patterns this year that are very unique. I don't find them in the last 10 years, let's say. And right now, some of the hands don't feel as switchable as they did to me last year. Now, some of this just might be time. Maybe I'll become better at being able to switch hands better over time. I think we all get better as the card goes on. But some of even the conversations with my friends, a number of folks have said the card at this point feels a little less switchable, which for those two reasons alone, I think the card will be a little bit more challenging this year than it was last year. This is an interesting fact. I mean, I know if you count the number of hands on this year's card, you're going to count 71. So there are 71 different hands that are printed on the card this year. However, if you took a look at the way you can make each of those hands, and that is by switching suits, or if it's a consecutive run, instead of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, you might be doing 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are all different ways that you can make these 71 hands. And I had a couple of people share very good information. I Love Mahjong sent me a beautiful post, and Kathy sent me some of her analyses, and both of them are very, very close. It's just about 1,000. There's 1,000 different ways of making these 71 hands on the card this year. So if you took those 1,000 ways of making all the hands on the card, it is almost, not quite, but it's almost 50% of those hands. So 500, almost 500 of those hands are going to pop up in the consecutive run and in the wins and dragons section of the card. Now, the consecutive run doesn't really surprise me because that is certainly the power section of the card, which it always is year after year. There's more ways of making those hands than any other. So that's still the most powerful section of the card. Wins and Dragons is a little bit stronger this year, which again leads me to think that people will be less reluctant to pass their win tiles too early on because there are a lot of hands that you could be making. Can we just go back to the previous slide for 1 second? I'm sorry. Thank you. So I'm gonna tell you that I think you're gonna see a lot of people make winning hands in those two sections, and I think again, as I think we did see last year, people are going to be more reluctant to pass win tiles than when I first started. You know, people were passing them very frequently. Now, not so much, and especially with some of the win hands that I see being made on this year's card. We have addition hands. I know some people have a real aversion to anything that involves math, whether it's simple addition or multiplication. So they're not going to probably like these hands, but we do have the some of the addition hands are sprinkled throughout 3 categories this year. I'm not exactly sure why the printed card has 3 + 6 = 9. That 3, 6 hand 9, actually of all the hands on the card in the last 10 years, that is the most used hand of any other hand. And this year, they just put the 3 + 6 = 9, but it's the same hand as we've seen in the past. For those of you who are counters like me, you look at the card, you start counting. There are 3 flower hands are back. Actually, there are 6 of them. So again, 3 flowers coming up on the card is not going to be too much of a reveal. So we have 6 hands this year. dragon hands are back, and they're all over the place. 19 hands this year are using flowers, so they're all over the place. We also follow the Chinese New Year. The zodiac for this year is the wood snake, and here's just a couple of bits of information that I found online with regard to what it means to be the year of the snake. And so what the things that I liked reading was it encourages individuals to embrace change. And let's face it, the most important thing is to embrace change when this new card comes out. So we'll see how that plays out. I always point out that people, you figured out that one year the card is blue, one year the card is red. So please be sure, please note that. I remember one woman once year told me that she sat in a tournament and had the wrong card on in front of her. So please don't make that error. 9 sections of the card this year. Last year there were 10. They got rid of the lucky 7 hands, which I know a lot of people didn't like. I think it was probably I think I saw less people making the lucky 7 hands last year than I did making singles and pairs hands. So the lucky 7 hands are gone this year. So we're down to 9 sections of the card, and those are 9 sections that we're all very, very familiar with. Okay, I already mentioned that there's 71 different hands printed on the card. That's 2 down from last year. And I always point out that when I count the 71, if you look at the card and there are 2 different hands printed on that row, so you'll see, like it might say A or B. If that is printed on the card, I count those as 2 different hands, and that's the way I arrived at 71. The odd section of the card this year actually has 3 more rows of hands, so it's pretty interesting. I'm sorry, 3 more hands this year. So there's 3 more hands this year than last year. It's really the only section of the card that I noticed a real difference. All the other ones are within 1 or 2 of what they were last year, so they're basically the same. But again, interestingly enough, even though there are more hands in that odd section, the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 section, the ways that you can make those odd hands are actually fewer than some of the other sections. So one might have immediately guessed, well, if there are more hands in that section, probably there's going to be more people playing that. But it really turns out that there's not that many different ways of making those odd hands. So I don't think we're going to see that many people playing in the odd section this year. I will say I found it interesting. I didn't include this note, but even playing a lot more over the weekend, I think a lot of people like and enjoy thinking about making that news hand, the northeast, west, south, with the 1, 3, 3, 5 or the 5, 7, 7, 9. So the news, that odd section does have that news hand. So I think we're going to see some people playing that this year as well. Okay, we mentioned that there are, I think we were on, oh, there you go. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a 5th one down, I think, the 1, 3, 3, right, the 1, 3 news, 3, 5, and then the 5, 7 news, 7, 9. I think that's going to be a popular hand this year for the players. Okay, we mentioned before that there are a lot of hands on the cards every year that follow either the pung, pung, kong, kong, or 3, 3, 4, 4, or 3 tiles, 3 tiles, 4 tiles, 4 tiles. This is a very popular pattern that happens in the even years, and in the odd years like this year, you're going to see the pung, kong, 3, 4, 3, 4. So there will be a number of hands this year following that pattern. And I always think it's good to just memorize that. Just memorize that it's 3, 4, 3, 4. So whenever in doubt, like what am I doing in that top even hand this year, the 2, 4, 6, 8? Yeah, 3, 4, 3, 4, pung, kong, pung, kong. So there's a lot of them, or it's a good number of them. There's 9 of them on the card this year. The other one that's very familiar, we see the 2, 4, 4, 4. This could be the pair of flowers, and then 3 consecutive kongs. So that's another one that I see. And the 4, 3, 4, 3. 4 flowers, for example, 3 dragons, 4 dragons, 3 dragons. There's that is another common pattern. But I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to show you this one later on in one of the, I'll do a little demonstration with it. But by far, without even thinking twice, my favorite hand on the card this year is in the second from the bottom in the consecutive run, where you have those 5 consecutive numbers. You're going to have a pair of one of those numbers, and then you're going to have 2 Kongs matching that pair. This will be done in 3 suits. And it was really, when I first looked at it, it looked, well, first of all, it looks interesting, and it remains very interesting. But I'm going to tell you, it's coming up a lot, both in live games and when I play online. A lot of people are winning with this hand. So again, if you open up with a ton of any one number, so you're thinking like numbers, for example, and you're like, wow, I can be doing that top like number hand, so to speak. But as a great backup, is if you, let's say you don't get those flowers or whatever, this hand I think is really going to be powerful. It also grabs you an extra nickel. It's a 30-cent hand. This is my favorite hand on the card, and I guarantee you many of you will be playing this a lot this year. We'll go on.
Just so you know, a lot of people have said they're excited about this hand. The
Great.
pattern. Yeah, they love that hand. So
Great.
far it's all good.
Terrific. Okay.
They call it, somebody's calling it the floating pair hand.
The floating
Floating.
pair hand. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. Let's face it, there are, and by the way, there is one typo in this first one. That E2 should actually read E1. I'm sorry. That was one of the fixes that I got in very late. So there are certain hands that every year people are going to make all the time, right? So that E1, the 2, 4, 6, 8 in 1 or 2 suits, that's popular. Everybody's going to play it. You know, maybe the 4 flowers with the Kong pair, whatever. These are common hands that we see in some form every single year. So those are powerful hands. They're easy. People will play them. But I also think that this year I'm seeing some already that I think are going to come up a lot. And so I did a couple little racks here for you. I hope you guys can see it. I just put the one up that I just recently spoke about. So there's my favorite hand. There's one of them. We got them. Thank you for including that on the field there. Here's another one that I think is very, very popular and very switchable. This is that 2, 4, 6, 8 with the pungs in any even number at the end. It starts with the 3 flowers. I think this is very switchable. I think people are going to like it, and it's going to come up a lot. And then if we jump over to the win section, by far, the one that will be played a lot is the 4 norths and souths with odd numbers, or the east and west with the even numbers, a single, a pair, and a pung of those numbers. I think these 3 hands are going to be played a lot. So we'll see how my prediction turns out. But they're coming up a lot already. And there are a couple of others, but those are the 3 that I wanted to just bring to your attention.
Let me just stop you for a second, because it says beginners are confused about the reference to E1, C2, whatever.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm sorry. So these are just shorthand notations that I use with regard to the section of the card. So the E is for even numbers, the C is for consecutive, the WD is for wins and dragons, and then the number actually tells you what row it is on the card. So let's just say E2 in that opening sentence there in the parentheses. That would mean in the even section of the card, the second one down. The C3 consecutive section of the card, third one down. So thank you, Donna, for bringing up that question. All right. We can go on. All of the concealed hands this year, again, are the last hand in each of the sections where there is a concealed. In the past, sometimes the concealed hands were scattered throughout, but I think it's been 2 or 3 years now where they've been very consistent in moving that concealed hand to the last hand within each section, which I think is great. I also think that one of the things that I liked is that last year you had to be careful about charging or collecting the right amount of money for the hand that you won. We had some 30-cent hands last year and 35-cent hands last year. We don't have any of those 35-cent hands this year on the card. So you only have to remember that with the exception of the quint and the singles and pairs, all the hands are either going to be 25 or 30 cents. All of the conceals, I believe, are 30, and there might be one or two other 30-cent hands that are not concealed that are on the card. But something, just one less thing to remember, it's only the 30 cent. There's no 35-cent hands on the card this year. Okay, one of the interesting things I noticed last year, that there's a hand that used wins and a 2025 run. That was a concealed hand in the 2024 section of the card. It was valued at 30 cents. It's the same hand this year, only it's now printed in the wins and dragons section of the card. It's still 30 cents, but it's not concealed. It's an exposed hand, so you can play that in an exposed way. So just just a fun or interesting observation. One of the questions that I do get from time to time is what's the general way in which these values are assigned? And obviously, the league could probably answer this better than I can, but the general feeling that I get is, the more difficult hand, obviously, it's going to be worth more. And I believe it has a correlation with the number of pairs. So a hand with 3 pairs will take 30 cents for the most part. 25 cents, I think, if one of those pairs happens to be a pair of flowers, because we know there are 8 flowers versus 4 of any other number. So I think that's the general rule of thumb. If it happened to have 4 pairs, like last year, it would take 35 cents. It's not really a rule, and every once in a while you might find an exception to that. But I know, just based on conversation, that the general feeling is, as the league is preparing, getting ready to put out their new card, they're playing these hands over and over and over. They're also looking at the frequency with which these hands are coming out during their, multiple months of working and creating and practicing with these hands. So I think at the end of the day, that also influences just how many times the hand comes out, and so what value they will assign to a hand based on their play. And I think it has to do with the complexity and the number of pairs. So that's a general feeling for how these values get assigned. We'll go on. Okay, so dragons are all over the place. So 19 hands this year are using dragons. So I think people are generally reluctant to pass dragons, or probably, and I think there'll be even less passing of dragons this year. They appear in every section of the card except the quint section. And it's interesting in that they're using single dragons, pairs of dragons, pungs of dragons, kongs of dragons. So they are really, really popular this year. I wanted to say one comment about, like, when I count dragon hands, if the only dragon in a hand is the soap being used as a single zero in the 2025 section, for example, I don't count that as a dragon hand. I mean, yes, you needed a dragon to complete the year, but I don't think of that as a dragon hand. So dragon hands to me are, where you have pairs, pungs, or kongs. That to me is a dragon hand. Just, that's my way of defining it. Feel free to define it any way you want. If you want to count those dragons as in the single hand, then you'll be adding a couple more. Okay, I've looked multiple times at this, and if somebody finds that I've made a mistake, please send me a note, correct me, but I've been looking at that top quint hand, which uses the pair of flowers. Maybe we could look at that quickly. I don't know if we could go there, but in that top quint hand of the card this year, we have that pair of flowers. We have the pung of a number, followed by a kong of a number in a different suit, and then the quint of the third consecutive number in the third suit. And that 1-2 combo right there, the pung kong in 2 different suits, as she's circling it so nicely with your little cursor. Thank you very much. I believe that's the only hand on the card that's using that pattern. So if somebody puts up the pung of one number and a kong of a consecutive number in a different suit, I think that's the only hand that could be, which seems so weird, right? Such a simple little thing like pung kong, 2 different suits, and it results in, oh my God, that person was actually playing the quint. So again, if someone finds another one that I missed, please let me know. But I think that's the only place on the card where that is. Okay, let's go to the next slide, please. Of course, we all know of what we all refer to the most expensive card hand on the card as the big hand. And last year, I think a lot of us thought that the big hand was going to be made more frequently than other big hands in the past. And I think that turned out to be true. I saw the big hand made very often in 2024. And this year, we're back to more of the standard 20, 25 in 3 different suits. Again, the requirement there of those 3 dragons, of those 3 soaps, makes it a little difficult. So again, it's valued as a 75-cent hand. It's the last hand in the singles and pairs section. And so I think what is a favorite hand for a lot of people is back for this year. Okay, we'll keep going. First of all, it's very important. In fact, right before this session tonight, I was working with one of my groups that I'm teaching right now. And one of the things, we're up to the point where we're learning how to read the card and, you know, how to understand the tiles and the patterns. And I always say it's so important to read those notes in parentheses. Obviously, there's only so much space that you can fit your notes in the parentheses. So the league cannot write every single thing. So there is an issue of real estate. But I find that it's really straightforward this year. I didn't find anything to me that really jumped off the page. I think Dara and Donna did a great job already with spelling out for you some of their predictions as to what they think some of the most frequent questions might be with regard to the hands. But I'm saying right now that I think the notations are actually fairly straightforward. And I always tell people, just don't overthink things. If you see 2 numbers in a row, they're consecutive numbers. If it doesn't say consecutive numbers in the parentheses, so what? They're consecutive. It's printed that way. If you see 2 sets of pungs or pung kong printed in the same color, you know it's going to be, that's one suit. That's got to be that one. So I always tell people, don't be overthinking what you're reading. It's pretty obvious just based on what you see. And if there's something that needs to be spelled out, that's when, it's important that it be included in the comments in parentheses. I don't see too much of it this year. The only one that I say I've had a few people ask me already is about that 1, 2, 3 run in the Winds and Dragons section. And I don't know, Dara, can we get to that? Maybe we could take a look at that one, perhaps, in that last card.
I know people have said it's really fast when Dara's going back and forth the slides, but we have to go back to get to these slides.
Yeah.
Just be patient.
Yes. So this is the only one I've gotten questions on yet so far. So again, any 3 consecutive numbers, 3 suits. So that means you got to use your dragons. You have to use, you have to have some of each of the dragons. And that 1, 2, 3 can be any 3 consecutive numbers, obviously in a row, consecutive. But it doesn't, those 1, 2, 3, which happen to be printed in that black or navy ink, does not mean that the 1, 2, 3 needs to match the pung, those 4 dragons at the end. It's just any 3 consecutive numbers and a pair, pung, and kong of all 3 dragons.
And that's hysterical that you said in the navy or black, because we've had it's like the white dress, gold dress of the internet. We've had major discussions. And on the large card versus the mega card, I think half of the people see it navy and half see it black.
Yeah, I see black, Dara saw navy, but
oh, okay. Maybe I went navy because it's a blue. I think of them as, the dot tiles are typically blue, or they look more blue to me. So that was really the only one that I think I had a lot of some questions on. Okay.
We had that same question in the Q&A, that same hand.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, that's right. You did. Thank you. That's right.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't want to spend too much time on this. I know there are people every year who ask me exactly how I did this calculation. If you're really that interested, please just send me an email. But I always like to go back and look to see how many hands this year were the exact hands from last year. And, I'm counting 13. Maybe somebody counts 14 or 15. I'm happy to spell them out to you in an email if you want them. but you know, that's 18%. So almost 20% of all of the hands left. And the league, I think, does this intentionally. I think it's nice that we have some hands that we are very familiar with from last year coming into this year, especially for newer people. It makes things a little bit easier. And the one thing I'm going to say is, so my definition of exact, you know, what I think is like, who are these 13, which are these 13 hands? If the pattern last year was 3-3-4-4 in 2 suits, and it's the exact same thing this year, but this year we're not doing 3-3-4-4. Right now, this year we're doing we're not doing 3-3-4-4. This year we're doing 3-4-3-4. So we change it. But if those numbers, and it's two different suits, it's the same. To me, those are exactly the same hands as they were last year. The fact that we just went from pung pung kong kong to pung kong, that to me doesn't really count as something as being different. So that might be one reason why I'm sometimes off with what other people tell me or what they see. And the other thing that's sort of very interesting is that almost half of all the hands that you see on this year's card showed up somewhere of the cards for the last 10 years. So again, for people who have been playing for 10 years or more, you know, there's going to be a lot of patterns that you're going to see. But again, I will also comment that there are a lot of patterns I can't find anywhere, which makes me excited for this year's card. I do a very quick calculation just to see what the average price of, I don't know why I do this every year. Maybe it's just silly me, but I just sit down and figure out what's the average price of a hand on the card this year. And it's 29.37 cents. Doesn't mean anything, just a silly little fact that I like to put in my presentation every year. Okay, it's always good to know if there is a single exposure that would make a hand dead. And I think, and look, they're all quints. So if anybody put up a quint of flowers or a quint of winds or a quint of dragons, then you know that they've made a mistake and their hand could be called dead. There was a year that I remember, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, where somebody put up a pung of 9s, 3 9s. You immediately knew what that person was doing. There was only one hand that 3 9s could be. So you immediately said, okay, I know they're in that 1 3 5 7 9 section of the card. It can only be that one hand. It hasn't happened since. I thought it happened again this year with the 3 9s again, but the 3 9s this year can be in the like numbers hands as well as in the winds and dragons hands. So it's not there again this year. So there's no single exposure that you're going to know exactly what somebody is playing. Okay, we'll go on. We already talked a little bit about, big year for flowers. There are 3s and 4s scattered all over the card, so not much you're going to be able to do to decipher things when someone puts up their 3 or 4 flowers. How about this one? I actually had to steal this one from last year because this is a frustrating one. Wow. 3 of them are out. How many times do you think you've thrown the safest tile in the world because you see 3 of them on the table and wow, you throw the last one and someone still calls Mahjong? And that's because, we have singletons all over the card this year. They're single tiles. A single win can get you in trouble. A single number can get you in trouble. Granted, there's no single flower on the card this year, but even throwing a flower could always be risky because somebody could be using jokers with their flowers. So I would say it's a fun thing that even when you think you have the safest tile in the world, nothing, as we've learned, nothing is always perfectly safe in Mahjong. Okay. One of probably the most common question of all is, what is it that I do to get ready for this new card when it comes out? Because let's face it, there's always some anxiety when this new card comes out. How long is it?
Wait, Barney, I'm sorry to interrupt, but just if you want to go back about the rule change.
Oh, sorry. Did I miss that? Thank you so much.
Yep.
Yeah, number 7. People are asking, are the rules different this year than last year's card?
And if you are interested in like a deep dive, we did a whole bunch of Instagram videos and YouTube videos and on our Facebook and we actually put up guides now on Facebook that go through all the way that they put up the wording of the rules on jokers and the rule changes. And
Yeah.
in addition to what Barney's going to go over in 7, there's one rule on jokers that we're getting a lot of questions about because it's nothing to do with jokers. So it's kind of just in that section, and it's a good rule to be on the card, but that's the question we've been getting a lot on.
Yes. So thank you so much. On the back of the card, there are, did we go back a slide maybe? Was
It's
there
on the
one?
top.
That's thank you. Thank you so much. There it is. I realized it's not there. The number 7 point. So if you were looking at the back of your card on the panel all the way to the left, they actually have under the claiming a discard section of that panel. Number 7, which is printed in bold letters, reads as follows. A player may change and they underline this, the number and type of tiles displayed in an exposure up until the player has discarded. Okay, so that is important. I mean, I don't see it happening all that often, but the number of tiles that you've put up and the type of tile that you have put up can be changed until the point that you have discarded. So I don't know how deep we need to go, Dara and Donna, on this. I don't know if there were specific questions that folks have about this.
The one thing we added, just because like you said in the beginning, there's so much limited real estate in bulletins, they also say discarded or initiated a joker exchange. So that's the one thing that they don't include here. But once you do a joker exchange, the same rule applies. If you exchange a joker, you have locked your exposure.
Great, thank you. But again, it's nicely highlighted, underlining, bold. It's there. And I know there've been a couple of even online people discussing this and communicating. I don't know. Did you guys actually write something up on this?
We did a whole review of all the rules under jokers and all the rules under claiming a discard.
Great, thank you. Okay, so here are the things that I do. I'm going to fly through these because I know we want to take some questions. It's about 7 minutes to 8. But here are the things that I do. I write this article. The article that you're going to have, it takes me time to go through everything to write this article every year, but me just doing it, it absolutely helps me. So that's really helpful. Siamese Mahjong. Oh my God, what a great way. If you've never played this, learn how to play Siamese Mahjong. It's super challenging. It's super fun on those nights when you only have one friend who wants to play Mahjong. It's a nice thing to do, and it really helps you learn the new card. I play online. There are many, many different online things that you could be doing. I use real Mahjong. This year they have a new little feature called Hand Assist, which you can click on the button, and it'll help you decide which tiles to hold, even at the both at the beginning and even while you're playing. So that's a very nice and easy online version of the game that I like. I am a very visual person. I write down literally on a piece of paper every single hand on the card using ink, 4 different color inks. Mm-hmm. So it just reminds me of exactly how that hand works. And I believe you guys attached a little log, right? Which folks will be able to print out if they think that would be helpful for them based on how they use it. It's graph paper. It's very easy, but the ladies did a great job in making it look prettier than I'm using. And then I think, as you said, there's a reference there, right? So in terms of where you can actually find it. And then the other, I don't remember, did I put that on one more slide? Do I have one more after this?
Nope, you have more tips. Hold on.
Okay, thank you. I was going to say, I wasn't sure. I then build, in addition to writing, I like taking the tiles and literally building them on the racks. In fact, tonight in my class, we did that tonight. We built about 20 hands from the card, literally building them.
Wait a minute.
See what those tiles look like on your rack. I think that's helpful. Here's another fun game that I think is sort of interesting, especially for some of the newer players. If you can build a hand and you can identify the 14 tiles that make up Mahjong, put them on your table, turn them upside down, get rid of 7, bring in 7 random new tiles. Now turn over those 14 tiles and see if you can find the original Mahjong that you know is there, right? Because you started with a real Mahjong. So it helps your eye see, oh, I know something's in here. Can I find it? Is it easy to see? The final exercise takes me forever, and I'm not done. I'm only about halfway through, but I also spend the time every year of looking at every possible set of 2 exposures. So if someone put up 3 1 BAMs and 3 7 BAMs, can that be? Is that even possible this year? If you do every single one of those combinations, you'll know right away, oh my God, someone put up those 2 exposures. Now there's only 1 hand on the card. Or nope, those 2 exposures still have 4 or 5 different hands. It takes a lot of time to do it. But once I get done, I feel like I really know the card inside and out. That takes a lot of work. Okay. And I think finally, the thing that I think in terms of the characteristics of, I think the best players that I play with, I think there are people who always know what their plan B is. If you think you know what you're going to do, and all of a sudden the discards are telling you you probably don't have a good chance of making that original hand, it's always good to know a plan B. And I would also say there's value in sitting down and saying, okay, if I'm playing that top 20-25 hand and I got up to 2 2s and the 2 2s, do I have any other options that I could possibly be going for? Know your plan B. I put copies of each of the panels on my iPhone. So when I have nothing to do, or I'm waiting for a doctor's appointment or what have you, I always have it with me. I could take a look at it on my iPhone. And I know there are many, many people out there who have wonderful websites. Google them, try to find them, and you could look to see, what other people are saying about the card and what their insights are. There's a lot of great information out there. So I wanted to thank you all for your time today. This was just, again, I just love doing this. It's fun. I hope people have gotten something out of it. And hopefully if you read my document, there'll be something, other things you can think about. I do sort of welcome emails. And I don't know if Dara and Donna, if you saw any questions maybe that came up that would be worth going through, that would be great.
The first question we have is, do you think the lower number of hands,
something about your voice, I was catching every other word.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So something about, do you believe that since there's less hands, is there causing more competition for certain tiles? Have you seen a lot of wall games because of that, or?
Well, I haven't, to answer the first part of the question, very interesting. No, I don't see any different competition for tiles, but this sort of blew me away. Long days this past weekend, or we play days, and I got to tell you, in the first day on Saturday, we literally in 8 hours had 1 wall game. And I got to be honest with you, this is sort of striking me as unusual in the fact that you would think with a new card and people not even knowing how to make winning hands, I found it very unusual. I thought there was like a real anomaly. Well, lo and behold, in yesterday's game, I think maybe we had 3 in 8 hours. So haven't been able to quickly put my finger on it, but it seems like right now, wall games are rare, which seems to be very counterintuitive to me.
Well, I think it's interesting what you were saying in combination of, we were talking also about the single tiles, that every hand other than flower has a, so there's really, like this year, 24, I saved 8s for the end, because I knew that those were somewhat safer. But when it comes to playing defensively, it's even with 2 exposures, there's so many tiles that still could be that single tile that gives them the win.
Yes, exactly. Yep, exactly.
And then people were talking about exposures in the 2025 section. Even if you have hungs of 2s, you have so many other choices.
Absolutely. You go to the 2, 4, 6, 8, and you of course, any like numbers. It's, there are options with that.
So Barney, people want to know if you are going to share your email. Are we going to share your email with people?
Is it not a document? It used to be.
If not, we can put it. I just want to check with you first.
Oh no, please. I'm sorry, I don't see it here. I'm just looking at it.
That's fine. We can put it up.
Is it maybe at the very end?
Yeah, we can put it up.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Barney G.
He went to Northern Valley High School.
What's that?
Somebody went to Northern Valley High School. I didn't write down their name.
It's across the street from where I live.
So the biggest questions so far are the second hand and any like numbers, Can you
Yes.
use
Oh,
jokers?
this is
That is,
good. Yeah, this is the one I saved for my last teaching moment tonight. This one I think is very, very tricky because I mean, you first look at it and it seems okay, two pairs. You know, oh wait, those two pairs are the same. So that means I have to own I have to own all four natural numbers of whatever the number is in that same sevens, let's say. I have to have all four of those sevens. Either I already collected all of them, or I'm now waiting for that fourth seven. So there's no jokers in those four. You can't use jokers for the fours, for the Kong of, let's say, seven. So people accidentally put up 4 sevens, they're screwed if that's the hand that they thought they were doing. Of course, they could always back up to the one right above it, but I think the second one in the any like numbers is, I think it could be the trickiest hand on this card this year. You got to remember, you have to have the natural Kong. If you have the 3 and someone throws the fourth one, of course, then you could call it for Mahjong. But again, then you have 4 natural sevens, and that's unusual. So I don't remember seeing that recently.
the other big question is the Winds and Dragons number 2.
Yes.
Does the dragons have to match the 1, 2, 3 because it's in the same color?
And no, right.
No.
It just that's been by far the question I've been asked the most. So maybe we'll see online what people are asking, but that's it. No, the 1, 2, 3 doesn't have to match. I mean, it's
Like
going to
we
match
said, the information, the parentheses is very important. People just have to read. It says any 3 dragons.
any right. Yep.
Three
Yeah.
dragons.
If there was a requirement to make it have matched, then there would have been necessarily something put in the parentheses to make it that way, if that was a requirement. I always think of it this way. The more restrictive something would be, so more restrictive, this run has to match. That's restrictive. Then we have to read the comments. I always think of more restrictive, and so I always say, keep things simple.
Right.
So a lot of people are asking when the video will be uploaded. It will be within 2 days, hopefully tomorrow. But if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll get notification. People are asking about what do they have to do to get the new card. If you ordered from the league, nothing. You will get the new card. If you already received it, you'll get another one. And if you are ordering now, we don't know when the deadline is for that, but any cards currently being ordered will get a card. They're not going to wait. They'll send it to you now. And then they will send you a new card at the end of May, beginning of June.
The other thing that I see a lot of is people keep asking about the back of the card, claiming a discard number 7. I know you talked about it, but it seems to be everyone is confused about that. A player may change the number and type of tiles displayed in an exposure up until the player has discarded. So it's just people like, please explain, I don't understand, you know.
So the number part is easy, right? So they call a tile, they put up 3 of it. And now they're looking and they're saying, can I now change it and add a 4th or put up another joker to make that Pong a Kong? And so the answer is yes, you can do that as long as you don't exchange. You have the ability to change that in terms of what you've already put up by adding or taking away from it. And then once you get to the point of discarding, then you can't change it anymore. So how did you guys actually explain type? Was there any keywords that you used? Because the number, I think, is the easier part. The type maybe gets a little bit more confusing.
So if you go onto the National Mahjong League website, they have a frequently asked question tab.
Okay, great.
They had kind of discussed this before. If you have a Kong and you make it a Kong or vice versa, that's fine. If you put up a discard, if you call it 2 bam, you place that on the top of your rack. If you happen to by mistake add a 3 bam, that's a different type. You can change that. However, if you complete your discard and complete your exposure, you cannot say, here's 4 bams and put them as a new exposure, then your hand would be dead. So you could only change what you're doing for your discard that you claimed. And whatever tile you pick up, Barney throws a 4-bam. I call Barney's 4-bam. I cannot change and put that back. You could only change what came from the sloping part of your rack. So once you committed to actually claiming the discard, that can't go back. Only the tiles you're adding from the sloping part of your rack can go back. So it's the number and a different natural tile or joker.
Right. Yeah. How many times does this happen? Very infrequently.
And we're all for rule games. I'm scared to say the word friendly because that is a, very divisive word in our Facebook group. We're all for rule games. I think people that follow the rules could be very friendly. I think people who don't necessarily follow the rules could be very friendly. To me, in terms of not friendly, but in real life games, if you're not at a tournament, I don't know how many people would have an issue with this. It depends on who you're playing with. So it's something good to discuss before you start playing.
Amen. That's exactly right. Yep.
We've had a lot of questions in the 13579 section.
Okay.
It's the addition hand. And a few people have said, does the 1 have to be a 1 dot with the soap, with the white dragon? I don't know why. I
No,
mean,
so the 10 has to be a white dragon, but they're asking about what suit the 1 has to be.
Right. So
Right.
as long as that 1 does not match the Kong of 1s and the Kong of 9s, it's fine. So it could be the 1 dot, it could be the 1 crack, because it would, let's just say we started with the 1s and 9s and bams, is that 1 has to be the 1 dot or the 1 crack, because it can't match the other suit, because the parentheses tells us it's any 2 suits. So the Kong of 1s and the Kong of 9s will match, and that single 1 to give you the 10 can be either of the other 2 suits.
correct. Yeah, I was answering that in the Q&A, but I just wanted you to say it. So that's great. Just so you know, we are not the league. We are not the National Mahjong League. We're getting a lot of questions. When am I getting my card? The biggest advice, Dara and I say, call them and call when they open at 9 a.m. That's the best advice we can. They may not always answer later in the day. They're very busy and they're very swamped, but we can't answer questions about when you're going to get your card. So sorry.
So I'm just looking, so the rule for jokers, somebody was asking about the rule for jokers. It's not that it's a problem, but if you have your panel and you look at the rules for jokers, you could see that number 6 says any tile within a grouping such as news 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, or tiles that represent a year may only be called for Mahjong. That is a true rule. It just, the header says jokers and it has nothing to do with jokers. I think they were just kind of combining other rules from other sections, and that's where that came from.
Right.
So I'm gonna go back to.
You're saying
So
Dara's
this
dog
is.
cute. My dog is cute too. She's over there.
Oh, or my dogs. Oh, can you see them? I didn't even know if you could see
Yes.
them. I have 2 that off screen while you guys weren't looking. I got up and I happened to have little dippable packs of Jif peanut butter, and I opened them both up off screen and put them on the floor for them to have like a little snack, and it worked for a little bit. So, but so for all of you joining us here tonight, and for Barney, thank you so much. We always look forward to this. We always laugh that Mahjong players get like an extra New Year every year. So we think that this year's card is just very creative.
Yep, I agree.
If you don't get our newsletter, or we have a free newsletter from modernmahjong.com, it's just information about events, different things. You could go to our website and sign up. All of the information that Barney had shared today, we already have. I'm going to make that correction about E2, E1, and we'll post that. All of this will be in the chat of our YouTube video. And then if you are interested in learning how to pivot, Barney was saying how this year is going to be a very hard part to pivot. That is something that we once did a chart of how you define levels of play. So this is going to be 2 different dates that we're doing. We're going to be putting this on our website shortly. And Donna, are you
Typing
typing
out
or
these
can you-
answers, yeah, a lot of questions coming in. So we are excited to have an event at the end of the month at the Fort Lauderdale Bridge Club. We've had many events there and they're really great. We're going to discuss the new card again, and we're going to have lunch and social games, which is always a lot of fun. So if any of you in Fort Lauderdale, we'd love for you to join us.
And then we last year did this, and it was something that was really appreciated by people. People told us that it really upped their game. We did it for 24. So our PDF of all the switchable hands and combinations, and there's some really interesting ones that you wouldn't think have 12 or 11, same tiles, and then it helps you switch.
Mhm.
Yep, so we're excited to do this again. So the Mahjong practice app is allowing us 10 winners. So we're going to do a giveaway, which ends in 3 days. So you can enter on Instagram at Modern Mahjong or on our Facebook group, Mahjong Community. Yep, we'll be able to give away 10 American Mahjong practice apps. And that's a great way to learn the new card.
Yeah.
So we highly advise it.
If you happen to play Canasta, here's my little Hope Shopping Network. If you play Canasta, and I know people think that Donna and it's the same Donna. So it's two different Donnas, Mahjong Donna and Canasta Donna. We are doing a Canasta convention in New York City. So if you want more information, you could visit the link there.
So people want to see my dog too. So
You could show. So we are editing and uploading this, and I'm going to stop the screen so you could all see. Let's see your dog. Oh, there she is.
So please be patient with us. We record this this Zoom call, and then we have to edit it and then upload it to our YouTube channel, which we will do in the next day or two. So
Yeah.
I know there's a
So
lot of
thank you
questions.
all.
We tried to answer a lot. There was over 600 questions. I was
Yeah.
typing as fast as I could. Hopefully we, picked out the most important ones and answered them live with Barney.
Mm.
So
Whatever we didn't get to, you could email us at modernmahjong@gmail. We love, or just post it in our Facebook group. Oh, so that's so cute. Longtime follower, first time attendee. Very cute.
So Barney, you want to say your email address? I can't
Yeah,
type Q&A.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And again, if you want to even edit the document, guys, that I sent, you could add it to the bottom of the document. But it's
Okay.
very easy. It's Barney G, BARNEY, and the letter G, Barney G at me.com.
Awesome.
Thank you, Barney. You're very generous to
Yeah.
get that out.
Yes.
And be
My
patient with Barney too, of having to
Yeah.
answer all your emails, because he is not the league either, but
Right,
we
exactly.
all try to help.
Oh, so that's very cute. Somebody asked if the Zoom shirts were available for purchase. We did create them for Barney and us, so you get our certain level of sponsorship. So they are on a Redbubble. You could search Zoom where it happens.
Yeah, I
Oh.
typed that in the Q&A, so Redbubble.
So, people tell their students that you walk on water, Barney, just so you know.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And
I
a
had a
few
lot of
people
fun.
have talked about your Stella Artois in the behind you, I guess. People want to share it with you, or they know you like it. I don't know.
Stella Artois. Is there something Stella Artois? I don't know what that is. Is that
I don't know.
Isn't that beer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think is there a case in the back? I don't know. I guess people are dissecting your background.
Oh, okay.
So people said, on behalf of thousands of Mahjong players, thank you. This is Linda. Thank you, Dara and Donna, for the incredible amount of work that went into the event and Barney's excellent insight.
Oh,
So thank you.
Yeah.
It's a labor of love. We appreciate it. So once again, Barney, this was great. Looking
thank
forward
you.
to a wonderful year.
Thank you.
Thank
Enjoy,
you.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.